Our wildlife pond with a built-in hibernaculum by UK Amphibians and All Things Wildlife. Part 17. In this video we show you the types of fences which not to build in between your properties. These types of fences with the concrete panels and the concrete gravel boards at the bottom and the wooden panels with no gaps in are no good. These won't help any amphibians get past. These types of fencing will be perfect. As you can see, they've got gaps in the bottom for the hedgerows, the mammals and the frogs, toads and newts to get through. These are actually perfect. So the wooden ones with the gaps in, also the iron fences with the gaps in, the plenty of gaps will help get any amphibians through. But the main one is the hedges, which I really love, because not only do the hedgerows get through and all the amphibians, newts, frogs and toads and mammals, but birds can nest in them too. So it's even more better for our wildlife. So if you can have an hedge in your garden, keep it. They're the best. Unfortunately, between our houses, our neighbours have the wrong type of fence. So here's what we have to do on an evening in springtime, is go around into our neighbour's garden and having a look around for any newts, frogs or toads that are trapped between the fencing. The only way they could have got here in the past into the neighbour's garden from our garden will have been when they were first born and really small enough to crawl under the fence or through any tiny gaps around the fence posts and panels. And here we find a lovely male newt in the neighbour's garden. Also, this is the only way for the newts to get back into my garden pond. They are actually trying to get in there at the minute, but unfortunately with the concrete panels on this type of fencing, the concrete posts, there's no way they can get back in to the garden now. After a few years they've matured to adults ready to breed. So unfortunately the only way for me to get them in to the pond is to go around and collect them in the evening, or else they wouldn't get back into the pond at all with the fencing being there. Now if it was my choice, I would have built an edge or some of the fencing with the gaps in, which was showed earlier on in the video. This also helps, as mentioned before in the past, helps mammals and frogs, toads and things to get through the gaps, which are a lot easier and they can come and go as they please. Especially toads, because toads like to go quite far away from where they're first born and then eventually come back in a few years' time as adults to breed in the ponds they were born in. So my advice, if you do have a garden pond and you have had a lot of amphibians in there over the years and for some reason you're not getting as many back throughout the years to come, then just take note if you have got a fence like this, and if you have, why not ask your neighbour's permission in the springtime just to pop round. Mainly on a wet rainy night is the best time, when it's warmed up to 10 degrees, and just pop in their garden if it's okay with them and just check along of the edges of the fence line like I'm doing here, and you'll probably be surprised how much amphibians you'll see on a night, and you'll also be helping them get back into the original pond where they were born from, and then they will sort of stay around the area in your garden as they're too large to get back through the fence, and will also be safe in your garden's environment with the pond. And as they are larger, they will tend to want to stay around the pond area with them being adults. it will be easy for them to breed in the years to come too. And also safe away from predators if you create the perfect habitat like I've shown you in my other videos. So in case you're wondering why we're finding all the newts along the edge of the fence, is because they're actually trying to get back inside my garden to the pond. And now they're older and too large, they can't squeeze through the tiny gaps to get into my garden. So all I'm doing is giving them an helping hand by finding them and bringing them back round into my garden to the pond. Because now they're adults, they're wanting to breed. And as you can see, the female newts are nice and large and ready and full of eggs. And look what we've found here. It looks like a juvenile female frog, which is probably about 2 years old, with the size of her. Still old enough to probably breed this year too. But as you've seen in my other videos, the female frogs are normally a lot larger and maybe more going on the age of 3 to 4 years old. The time at the minute is around 10 p.m. at night, which is around about a reasonable time to come and have a look in the dark, as all the amphibians will have started to move slightly a bit earlier. But if you give it a few more hours and come and have a look, then this is when you mainly find them. If it's raining, that's even better, because you'll even find even more on a rainy night too. So if you come out for about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, that will be perfect timing to hopefully find plenty of amphibians in the neighbours' gardens, and even in your own gardens too. If you've got a pond, you will find them then. And here we found another female newt, which is actually a female palmate newt because there's no spots on her chin. And here's another newt, which also is another female palmate newt. These female palmate newts that we're finding tonight are nice and fat and full of eggs. So like I mentioned earlier, they're trying to get back into the pond, but they can't get back in because of the fencing panels at the minute. So all I'm doing is helping them out and find their way back to the original pond where they were born in. So as I make my way back into my garden at the side of the wildlife pond, there's already a frog making their way to the pond with the looks of it, which is another female frog, and as you can see, similar sort of size to the one we caught in the next door's garden. Nice and fat and full of eggs too, ready to breed this year. So all we'll do is just add her to the pond, and if she wants to breed with the males, she can do this year. Also, we've actually brought her back from the other side of the garden, where she will stay happily in our garden now and not be able to get past the fence panels as she's too large. The temperature tonight is 11 degrees, which is the perfect temperature to bring the amphibians out of hibernation and get them ready to start to breed. So here's all the newts that we found in next door's garden. We're just putting them on the side of the pond for you to look at, and then obviously we'll let them go into the pond so they can breed and lay us plenty of eggs for this year. And then we should have plenty of baby newts once again this year too. As you can see, all these newts, they're all palmate newts. We do have smooth newts in our gardens and in our garden ponds too. But obviously on this occasion tonight we've not found any. I would say we do have a lot more palmate newts in our pond than smooth newts. It seems to the population has boomed with the palmate newts over the years, but we do find quite a few smooth newts around the garden and in the ponds too. As you can see tonight, we've found quite a few palmate newts. Why don't you leave us a comment in the comment section below how many palmate newts you have seen us find tonight. So as mentioned before, this is what we do in springtime, in late February and March, as we go in the next door's garden and obviously save all these newts and bring them back to the pond so they can breed. We just have to give them an helping hand in getting them back into the pond, but once they're in the pond they will breed and lay plenty of eggs this year. So then the cycle starts again with the baby newts leaving the pond later in the year, obviously hatching from eggs and then leaving the pond later in the year, and unfortunately we can't stop them getting in the neighbour's garden, but in a few more years time when they're big enough and adults and ready to breed again, we will find them in the neighbour's garden and just give them that helping hand and help them back into the pond like we're doing now. As you can see, we have some male frogs in the pond, ready for the females coming to the pond. The next morning is the 17th of March 2023, and we'd just like to show you a tour around the pond as springtime is just on its way and all the flowers are looking good around the edge of the pond. All the daffodils are flowering, the crocuses are coming up, and also we have a lovely male frog just out in the daytime on itself with the looks of things. This is normally quite rare as most frogs try and hide through the day, but because it's breeding season you will find the frogs starting to come out through the day looking for females to breed with. Let's just take a moment to look at the lovely spring flowers coming up around the edge of the pond. There's plenty of yellow daffodils and some nice purple crocuses. A lovely purple crocus here. Plenty more yellow daffodils. Another crocus. This is some bird's foot trefoil just starting to grow. So this is some red campion starting to grow. Another lovely purple crocus. Some more yellow daffodils. Well, we hope you like part 17, guys. Stay tuned because part 18 is coming out quite soon. Thanks for watching. Please give us a like and comment on all our videos, and don't forget to subscribe to see more amazing content like this by UK Amphibians and all things wildlife today.